an election year, in case you missed it. With the presidential race heating up and just mere months away, you may be wondering, how is this going to affect you? Should you buy? Should you sell? Should you wait? How does real estate get impacted by an election year? Leading up to an election, the general energy of the nation is usually tense. People are unsure and feel divided, and that uncertainty can lead to fear, and oftentimes fear leads to freezing. Al Lord, founder and CEO of Lexard Capital Management, said, "Presidential election years affect the national housing market and mortgage rates through interrelated channels: uncertainty, policy expectations, and consumer confidence. This is because consumers choose to postpone major purchases or sales until they gain greater confidence in the country's direction." But what's interesting? In the past, no matter who wins or what side of the aisle that they're on, real estate returns to normal, and often it increases. Ali Wolf, chief economist at Zonda, says, "Usually home sales are unchanged compared to a non-election year, with the exception being November. In an election year, November is slower than normal." Take a look at this graph. Historically, there is a dip in the fall season, but in presidential election years, the dip in new home sales in November is higher, 15% versus 9.8% in a non-election year. Why is November slower? The election's already over. Remember, it takes about 30 to 45 days to close on a house. So if your closing is set for November, that means you probably went under contract sometime in September or October. And when are emotions running the highest during an election? Right before it. That's when the media goes all in, the frequency of political ads skyrockets, and emotions are running higher than ever. Around this time is when people tend to start feeling nervous and uncertain, and a lot of times they just put their hands on their pockets and say, "Let's wait and see." When people feel uncertain, they are far less likely to jump into a major decision like buying a new house or selling a house. This is what we feel, but what actually happens to real estate during an election year? This graph, courtesy of KCM, shows us the last 11 presidential elections going all the way back to 1978. In every single election year, with the exception of 1981 and 1989, home sales went up. This is the amount of homes that sold. What about the prices of homes after an election? Going back to 1989, 7 out of the last 8 election years saw home prices increase. The only time it didn't increase was right after 2008. And we all happen to know now that 2008 was anything but a normal year in real estate. Data tells us that, on average, more houses will sell and prices will go up after an election. What about the interest rates? Looking back through 1980, mortgage rates decreased 8 out of the last 11 elections. And of those 11 elections, only 2 years saw swings that were greater than 1%. Rates went up 2.02% in 1980 and down 1.03% in 1984. The shift in rates generally is less than half a percentage. Back in March, the Fed had predicted that we would see 3 rate decreases this year. Most recently, they've now amended that prediction to just 1. Essentially, if rates are going to drop, it's only going to be a little, and it's probably only going to happen once this year. So what do you do if you're a buyer or a seller this year? Don't panic. Historical data shows that the changes are going to be minor and they're going to be temporary. As a seller, you have to have your home in tip-top condition. Buyers have a lot more choices right now, and a lot of them don't want to inherit or buy maintenance issues or repairs. And make sure you're priced right. That's a bit of a moving target right now because we're in the middle of a price correction. Prices are not crashing, but they're also not dramatically increasing. Have your agent check on recent sales. This is often done right before you list, but if you've been on the market for a month or more, check those recent sales again. Are those prices trending downwards? Did they do price reductions? Did they sell for under asking? That's going to show you what is happening in your local market. Are prices correcting? Because if they are, you need to pivot and act accordingly. Hang in there. It can be really stressful. Just know that you're gonna get through it. And buyers, get ready. I truly believe that you have the opportunity to strike right now. If you are ready, willing, and able when others are not, you have leverage. Be the hero to a seller whose house hasn't sold in 90 days. Make an offer and purchase their house. You probably can negotiate on things like price, closing costs, concessions, or repairs. Now, don't get greedy, but do know that in a time where homes aren't selling as fast, you have some negotiating power. And buyers, don't wait for the drop in rates or for the market to get busy. Get out there while everybody else is asleep. This window of opportunity is gonna be a short one, so get ready to pounce. Now, I think the main takeaway is the fact that election years do not dramatically change the real estate landscape. Fear and uncertainty, totally normal. But try to use the available data so that you can make an informed decision instead of falling back on an emotional reaction. And anytime there's change, it brings forth uncertainty. And in the real estate industry, things are gonna get shaken up because as of August, there's gonna be new paperwork required for all buyers. And whether you're buying or selling, you better get real familiar with what it's about. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.